Okay, great. Because I know, I'm not going to wink this time, but. Oh, shoot. See, I already did it. That's now going to be used against me.
That's going to be in there.
So, Christopher, how are you today?
Joys, trials, cold office, chilly fingers. Is my nose red?
No. 'Tis the season.
It is.
Rudolph.
I wasn't thinking that, but...
Well, this is dated now. We just dated it. But anyway, almost Merry Christmas, Christopher.
Thank you, brother.
I have a great quote for you today from a demon. So, whoa. What? What did he say? I'm quoting from C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters. See what I did there?
I did.
So, this is fun. This one, I know you've heard it before because it's in the Way of Beauty course where we unpack a lot of stuff. So this is killer. So C.S. Lewis's book is about letters, for those maybe who don't know, letters from a senior devil to a junior devil on how to take us out, how to take out men and women. Tempers.
So C.S. Lewis's goal in doing this is to, in the kind of reverse way,
the via negativa,
show us
the
true, the good, and the beautiful.
And it's brilliant. It's a brilliant way to, kind of get under the hood.
I wonder if he needed to go through detox after writing.
He said he did.
book.
He said I had to wash my brain after I did it. After I wrote this.
That makes sense that he would.
More backstory is that Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, his dear friend for years, said, don't do this. Don't go deep into the mind of the enemy. And so C.S. Lewis dedicated the book to Tolkien. As only a buddy of 35, 40 years could do. But Tolkien doesn't dive deep into the mind of the enemy when he writes like Sauron and Lord of the Rings. You don't get the inner workings, but C.S. Lewis does. Now, the Screwtape Letters is amazingly insightful. So I think...
So there is a benefit to this approach.
Yeah, I mean, he did the work for us. Dr. Peter Kraft, by the way, has a book called The Snakebite Letters.
I have that on my shelf.
Where
I haven't read it.
Yeah, he says it's really good. And it's sort of a modern Screwtape Letters. And he says it outright in the foreword. I'm stealing C.S. Lewis's idea. But here we go. Ready?
Ready.
Screwtape, the senior devil, writes to Wormwood, the junior devil, music and silence, how I detest them both. How thankful we should be that ever since our father entered hell, of course Lucifer, no square inch of infernal space and no moment of infernal time has been surrendered to either of those abominable forces. But all has been occupied by noise. We will make the whole universe a noise in the end. We've already made great strides in this direction as regards the earth.
So noise as the opposing force to both music and silence.
Yeah, so he's coupling music and silence, how I detest them both. So I want to put it out there, Christopher, why do the demons hate music and silence?
Both lead to God. That's ordered sound, which is music. Sound ordered towards the true, the good, and the beautiful is sacramental. And the silence is also a place of encounter with the divine. So it would make total sense that the enemy would hate both. And don't we all experience the temptation towards noise? I have to discipline myself with my phone because I notice, like, even, forgive the detail, but it's just practical and real. Like, I find myself, even when I'm in the bathroom, like...
Why? Because you have time, you have a little space.
Because I'm afraid of the silence.
I want to fill it. Yeah, I want to fill it.
There's something about that silence, just even when I'm, fulfilling the call of nature, I'm alone.
Right.
And I'm silent, and I there's something unnerving about it. But in my discipline of recognizing, this was like a few months ago where I noticed, I just habitually pull out my phone and I'm watching YouTube videos or I'm responding to text or something because of a certain uncomfortableness with a few moments of silence. So the discipline has become, I don't want to say that the phone is bad, right?
Right.
The phone is not bad, but it can be a distraction. So when I feel that urge to fill the void with noise, instead of doing that immediately, I'll just take a few moments of recollection, feel the silence, and whatever it stirs in me in being silent, all right, Lord, this is an opportunity to encounter you, to be in communion with you. But there's a leap of faith that is needed there that is also uncomfortable and maybe even a little scary. We like the tangible, and there's something about our nature there. There's a both and here, because a sacramental worldview, and I think this is maybe where music and silence kind of serve maybe two sides of the same coin. That
Right.
we need the sensorial, we need that which we encounter through our senses, but we shouldn't become locked in or fixated on that. And I think the silence is a nice counterpart to not getting locked in an idolatrous way on the sensual. Mm-hmm. But the more we take that silence, I would say the more we can experience the sensual as sacramental, including ordered sound, music.
Yeah. Well, think about the very posture of your body when you're filling the silence. You're acting.
Yeah.
You're doing. You're hitting the button. You're hitting play. You're turning it up. As opposed to, I'm just sitting here. And then suddenly my ears sort of dilate to mix senses up.
Yeah.
And I receive, the click of the tick of a clock, or bird song, or wind.
My kids have done this experiment. They've told me about it anyway, and I've really wanted to explore it, where they go on a sound fast to quiet themselves, to be more perceptive to other noises. And there's something really to that. I want to try this. I forget how they do it, but they I'd have to ask them how they did it. But
I remember
in the fasting, your senses become more attuned.
Everything gets heightened. It's beautiful because you start realizing silence isn't absence, silence isn't emptiness, silence is full. Right? Silence, which sounds ridiculous, but
well, it's a beautiful paradox.
Right. It's a pregnant stillness, which is an excellent phrase. I remember I did a summer camp once. I was the nature guy. So I would take all these inner city kids, and it was up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Take inner city kids. We had a big pond and a stream, and there was woods. And these kids who were coming from North Philly or wherever, they just weren't used to this. And we did an exercise like what your kids did. We would get in a circle and sit in a field or sit by the stream in a circle. And I'd say, close your eyes. You're going to just count the different sounds you hear. When you hit 10, when both hands are full, open your eyes. And it would just be this detox moment of, and then you look at their little hands and the kids, their fingers are going up and it just made them so in tune with their environment. It's this embodied experience. It's calming them down. It's because silence, again, is not absence, but presence. It makes me present.
Even as you're sharing it, I'm seeing my need for detox. Like I was busy working on a project before I came over to the studio today, and I feel like what we're experiencing right here, just sitting and entering into human conversation, is itself a kind of, I need to just let my shoulders down and receive. And the whole idea of silence and music, ordered sound and no sound, is reminding me of what the Catechism says about feasting and fasting. That the purpose of fasting is to prepare us for the feast.
Right.
And in those moments of silence, there can be a training of the ear to hear in the right way and to receive without a grasping.
Yeah.
But in a posture of what JP2 talks about, faith being the openness of the human heart to God's gift. And when we grasp at it, it's the opposite of faith. It's saying, I don't believe it's going to be given, so I'm going to take. Well, that's the original sin in John Paul's understanding. The original sin is a grasping at the gift because we didn't believe God wanted to give it to us. And isn't that where we get in trouble with everything? This is where icons, meaning the created things that God made to lead us to Him, become idols. When we latch on, when we grasp, when we demand, because we don't believe in this nature of reality as a gift, which is another way of saying we don't believe in God's fatherhood. right? And you and I know this line from Crossing the Threshold of Hope. This is truly the key for interpreting reality.
Right.
Original sin
Attempts to abolish fatherhood.
attempts to abolish fatherhood.
Eradicate it.
This idea that at the origin of everything is a love that wants to be a gift. That's fatherhood. A love that goes out from itself to give life to others. That's fatherhood. When we adopt the mentality of original sin, I don't believe God wants to be a gift to me. I still have this hunger. He's not going to feed it, so I latch on, I take. All of it is related to what C.S. Lewis is saying there about the way the demons hate silence and music because both get us in touch.
Right.
God's fatherhood.
The front porch right in there. And I like what we're talking about here with the fasting and the feasting, because if we're always in a posture of not receiving, but grabbing and grasping and noise and feasting, we're dulling our senses. We end up killing the thing we think we want.
Right.
We sap it of all pleasure. The alcoholic no longer really truly enjoys alcohol. Right? It's no longer what it once was, because I've super saturated myself with it.
Yeah, and we need that rhythm, silence
Right.
and music, fasting and feasting. If you never fast, you never feast.
Right.
And if you never feast, you never fast. And isn't it interesting that in the liturgical year, there are 40 days of fasting, for example, in Lent, but 50 days of feasting in Easter.
That's awesome.
So it shows us where the emphasis is. The
Pointing
goal is the celebration. The goal is the rejoicing. But to get there in a proper disposition, we need to fast. What do they say? The silence between the notes is what makes the music beautiful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't have ordered sound. You don't really have music. You just have noise.
Yeah, we have to have it, and we have to intentionally want it and will it. I was just joking with Thomas about, I heard him do a Forrest Gump reference, and that got me thinking about Forrest Gump. And the image of Forrest Gump, even from the movie poster back in the day, was him sitting on a bench. Remember that?
Oh, of course.
He's just sitting there. Today, that's awkward. No one would do that, right? They would instantly take out the phone. But so we have to put ourselves in an awkward, they say awkward silence. We have to get rid of that awkward. It's not awkward silence. Silence is golden.
Yeah.
So, okay, so how do you carve it out for yourself in the day? Are you intentional about silence?
I do. I take silence every morning in my time of prayer, and it's a time of trying to listen, trying to still my heart. It's not easy though. There's this constant I gotta be doing. But I have found in years of making that a habit to be silent and listen, that all kinds of stuff inwardly starts to rumble up. Stuff that maybe in the noise we don't want to look at and can be scary to look at, but as we give ourselves space in the silence to let what's in us come up and out, this is where we find out that fatherhood really is the origin of the universe. A love that wants to give itself.
Yeah.
A love that meets us in those places in our lives that desperately need to know that we're loved. I think one of the main reasons I tend towards wanting to fill the space is because there's some fear in there that I'm not loved in those places. But the silence has taught me quite the opposite. And I think this is why the enemy hates both the silence and the music, because they're going to teach us the love of the Father if we listen attentively.
Yeah. It's going to connect us.
What about you?
I do the same thing. I try to start my day with, not with so much jumping right into a devotional book or whatever it might be, morning prayer or something, but just sit there, maybe light a candle. I have a prayer chair, got the icon, got the candle. Sometimes it's the crucifix, just holding the crucifix for a few minutes. But yeah, it is hard, and I always, like you said, I have that Pavlovian response to let me, let me just grab it and just check and see and make sure everything. Whenever I make the act of the will to not, and just say I will not, and maybe you got to set your alarm for 10 minutes. Do nothing until that. You literally, when you will and intend it, you literally feel yourself relax. You feel yourself relax, and it's a connection right away. You do feel the Father's love. you do start realizing that paradox of that silence is the language of God. So, to the beginning quote, it's music and silence. So, just an encouragement to everybody tuning in, figure this out. Be
5
intentional.
minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes of silence a day. Try it for 30 days. Change your life.
It absolutely will. And you're going to want more. You're going to want more. If you have enjoyed the content of this video, please do like it, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe.